Hello and thank you for joining me for this episode of Carl vs. Reality. How's it going? I'm in the podcasting tree. I'm going to be honest about this. I was a little bit nervous clambering through and sitting in this tree today. So basically, to put a bit of background, I believe it's a willow tree. Don't quote me on that. But it's like a bunch of sort of twisted, sort of horizontal branches and all that kind of stuff. And there's all these sorts of like branches going down, and it's on a sand dune, and you know, it's quite sort of, how do I put it? It's a nice little hideaway from people and that kind of thing. I was nervous about coming here today specifically, though, is because on my way to here, the walk to here, I saw something I don't ever really see. Like, it's a rarity to actually see it. And I actually saw an adder. Now, as a general, you don't really see adders that much. Adders tend to sort of keep themselves to themselves. And I believe, don't quote me on this, one of the few, if not only, poisonous snake in the UK. I may be wrong on that, I don't know. But I saw one, a little babby one, so it's fine. And they're not an aggressive snake. If they're back into a corner, they will go for you. But it sort of slithered across the path. I was like, oh no, that was a little way away from the tree. But enough to make me think, oh God. I actually remember a few years ago, there was this spring watch, and they were saying about how they were trying to see every single indigenous snake in the UK. They were trying to spot them or film them or just catalogue them for the TV show. And I remember one of the ones they couldn't see for the entire 3 weeks was an adder. So I was like, oh, they're quite rare, but maybe not where I am. I think one of the main problems with adders is the fact that they're set up in certain areas. There's a lot of inbreeding going on with adders, and so basically they're not genetically strong, because obviously, you know, they don't migrate or anything like that. They basically just sort of hang around and all that, really. So yeah, don't really fancy getting bitten by an adder, although quite rare, still not great. So yeah. Anyway. So that's a funny thing happened to me on the way to the podcasting tree. Not really funny, like saw an adder. Yesterday I saw a massive dragonfly, not here, but it was actually in town, and it was huge. It was probably about 4 inches. It was green. I took a picture of it. Yeah, it's on my website if you want to go check that out. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. It's like one of those things where obviously they're knocking about, but you don't really see them. If you're not expecting to see it, it does make you jump a little bit. So yeah, that happened. So basically, I never sort of plan what to say, really. I just sort of walk, and I use that sort of time to think about what I want to talk about. And I think what it is, I'm reading a book currently, and about halfway through. It's a book that I think a lot of the hippie types are reading and all that kind of thing. It's called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. I haven't finished it all the way through yet. It's a bit dated because it's saying, well, basically what it is saying about how people are so obsessed with technology that they can't not check emails, text messages and this, and they're basically just constantly connected. What's that? Bird fans, if you can let me know what that was. Yeah, so basically it's about how people are just always connected to their phones pretty much, and just how they can't really escape it. And, you know, they say about how to detox from it, but like 30-day challenge where you cut out all technology and all that kind of thing, and then you introduce bits back in again. I personally don't think I'm addicted to technology, but it's a book I've wanted to read for some time, and like I say, I don't really think I'm addicted to technology too much. I think I'm of the generation where we are like on the basically the borderline of it, because like I knew what it was like to not have the internet and all that, so I know what it's like not having that technology in my pocket, and I obviously embraced that. But what was really interesting was like after that whole detox thing, he's basically talking about how solitude is very important. And I was just thinking about that, because solitude is one of those things which is very important for mental health and mental well-being, and just being able to switch off and just be a bit like, do you know what, the outside world can wait. And, you know, it's something that I obviously do a lot, because I've just been on a 25-minute walk to sit in this tree. And for those 25 minutes, I haven't seen anybody, haven't spoken to anybody, haven't been on my phone, nothing. I just basically walked and thought about things, and then I come here and record whatever I've thought about. And solitude is actually one of those things I've been thinking about today. And it's very interesting because he says, like, he mentions a lot of, I can't remember the guy's name is now, but it's Theroux, the guy who wrote Walden, about how he built a house near a lake, Lake Walden, and he lived like a solitary life. I'm not going to go into that. There's obviously these things about how secluded he was and all that kind of thing, and that. But the thing with solitude is, it's not necessarily about solitude. Can't really be measured by the proximity of people. As an example, I mean, I could have that solitude in the same house as my girlfriend in a different room. That's what that is having that moment alone and having that space to think, that room to breathe and all that. And I think people just have, over the years, made it too easy for people to access them, and they're like, oh, I have to be available just in case. Just in case what? There's never been a situation on this planet where it's been super duper important that you have to be reachable in an instant. That's what happens. And if you're not reachable, it's also fine, and nothing's going to really change these situations, unless it's obviously your job is involved with being on call and all that. But on our day-to-day lives, we have to have those moments of solitude and peace, and that moment of just no outside stimuli. And yeah, it's important to do that. And I just think more people need to just try and do it. I think there is a lot of the generation underneath me, or younger than me. They're not beneath me. You know what I mean? The Zoomers, or you call them Gen Z or whatever. They know nothing but that, like having technology in their pocket and having everything in an instant, and the patience and all that. And I think a lot of, from what he's saying in this book also, about how people sort of struggle to read people's facial expressions because they're not used to having those face-to-face conversations. They're used to sending a text or an email or a Snapchat, or you want to call it. And yeah, it's a weird situation we're in, because we didn't really evolve to get to that point in our lives. Like we took thousands of years to get where we are now, and people over the last 20 years, if that, have, or 25 years, basically gone lightning speed. How we're now thinking that communication via text message and email is the same as a face-to-face conversation with someone, and it's not. Having that is like, it's a really interesting book. Like, even if you're not like into the whole digital detox, you can skip that bit and just read the bit about how solitude's important. And it is, like, it's very important. You just need that little room to breathe and all that. And yeah, it's just very, very important. That's what I'm thinking about anyway, in my sort of weird way, but we got there in the end. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking about and reading. It's kind of weird because I do read. Last year I read quite a lot, but this year I've really struggled to pick up a book and read. I think the thing is that I've been lent a lot of books, and I'm like, I don't really want to read those books. I want to get them back to people, but at the same time I'm not in the mood to read them, and so reading something else, I felt guilty reading something else, and I've gotten over that, and I've started reading that book, which I bought years ago. So not a big fan of the old hardback book. So, also, now the plugging bit. I'm not plugging a sponsorship deal on that. I'm just basically saying, like, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, I have got a website. Go check that out. carlversusreality.com. I've got my blog. Obviously got podcast episodes, and obviously you can follow me on Mastodon. I don't really post so much on Mastodon. I mean, I went for a phase, I need to post on Mastodon, all that kind of stuff, but it's now the social network, and I'm not always in the mood to be just posting constantly. That isn't who I am. I find it hard to do that. I find it fun to browse it, but at the end of the day, it's still a social network, and sort of sitting there on my lunch break, just browsing all this stuff. It's exactly this. It's not. There's no algorithm involved, but it's still the same of mindlessly scrolling people's posts. They're more. How do I put it? They're more genuine and more, less algorithmic and all that. So it's I'm still on there occasionally. So it's if you can follow me on there if you want. I post pictures on there. Also, if you go to carlversusreality.com/cats, that's my newest acquisition to the site. Anytime I take a picture of a cat, I'm going to upload it to there. So you want cat pictures? Go to my website. There's going to be cat pictures. If I see a cat in the wild, I'm taking a picture of it. I'm going to post it on there. It's a work in progress. So I'm enjoying doing that. It's actually quite fun thinking about those bits and pieces. And I'm hoping to post some art on there soon. I've got back into doing some art. So that's it's just I actually bought this thing so I can take pictures of the art I've been creating, but I just haven't got around to setting it up. It's one of those moments where I'm like, it just involves doing a little bit of stuff, and I really can't be bothered. I'd rather just create it and be like, I'll do it later. There's no timeline, there's no deadline on it, so Anyway, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate that. That's all I've got to say, really. But yeah, think about the whole solitude thing, it's not about the proximity of people or the opposite of that, or whatever you want to call it. It's more of a case of like finding that space to breathe and just have those minutes on your own. Meditation is very important for that, the way you can just literally just try and switch off, and just meditation is pretty much solitude. You can meditate in the same room as people and it's still the same, it's still solitude. Anyway, I'll catch you all again soon. I hope you have a good rest of your days, and also take care of yourselves and each other. And yes, that is from Jerry Springer. I don't care.